What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. All right, we got several things to go over here for you guys here as we're finally learning, well, the actual really details here of a couple different things here. We'll start with this here. Check this out. Okay, number one, Republicans officially win control of the U.S. House of Representatives. And we'll get to Kevin McCarthy here in a second. Take a listen to this.
Steve Kornacki is showing up, which is how you know it's important. Steve, what can you tell us about the numbers coming in right now?
Yeah, we are getting numbers as we speak from a critical congressional district here. In fact, it has now been called. California's 27th district, L.A. County just released a batch of new votes. The Republican incumbent, Mike Garcia, has defeated his Democratic challenger, Christy Smith. This win for Republicans is the 218th seat. Republicans have now secured a majority in the House of Representatives. The win by Garcia is number 218. They had been sitting on 217 for the last day or so. This is your list of uncalled races. And you can see literally this was just in the last 90 seconds that this all happened. This district based in Los Angeles County. Garcia had been leading in the tally. Smith needed in this new batch to have a gigantic share of the vote, 60% plus. Instead, in the new share of votes that we just got in, Garcia actually got more votes than Smith. He picked up 4,115. Smith picked up 3,403. So not only did Smith not win this new batch of votes, she lost it. She lost it by a 10-point margin. There is no more mathematical path for Christy Smith to defeat Mike Garcia in this district.
And so, Steve,
NBC can declare him the winner and the Republicans the majority in the new House.
Yeah, Steve, with this call that we have here from NBC, we're looking at the House projection now. Republican control at 221, a 7-seat majority. That is the NBC House projection that the Republicans did narrowly win back the House as a consequence of the California district you just walked us through. And so, Steve Kornacki, here we are at the end of the road of this counting with regard to control of the House. Walk us through this entire result. The Republicans, without a red wave, but with these final seats, have control of the United States House of Representatives.
And the question now is, what will that final number land at? You mentioned the NBC News estimate has it at 221. So right now, this is the 218th seat. Garcia wins it for the Republicans. Also, about 10 minutes before this call, one other unresolved race was finalized in the 2nd District of Maine, where they do an instant runoff. The Democrat Jared Golden won there. So what you see is outside of those two races that have been called in the last 10 minutes, these are the remaining outstanding House races. And the question for Republicans is, because, yes, they will now have a majority, they'd like to have at least the smallest amount of pad to that majority. So where else on this list of now only 7 uncalled seats could Republicans pick up victories? There are a few here. The 3rd district here, which is basically the population goes from the Sacramento suburbs into the Sierra Nevadas. That's the main core of the population. The Republicans leading in the tally here. We're waiting on an update probably later in the week from this district, so it may still be a few days before we know, but Republicans certainly believe they can hold on to the 3rd district, so that is potentially one Republicans could get. There's also the 3rd district of Colorado. That's Lauren Boebert's district. There's a midnight, she leads right now by 1,100 votes. There's a midnight deadline tonight for ballot curing, so I think that tomorrow could bring clarity in this race. Boebert, though, with an advantage of over 1,100 votes right now. Very close, but certainly an opportunity for Republicans to carry that race. And then I think the closest race right now, about 2/3 of the vote in, this is the 13th district of California. You see a margin of only 600 between the Democrat and the Republican. There are some Republican-friendly areas still to come in this district here. So I think an opportunity. Republicans have hit 218. You could see them hitting 219 with Colorado 3. You could see them hitting 220 prospectively with California 3. If they were to add this, you could see them getting to 221.
Yeah, so can you believe that some districts here for the House of Representatives still, at this point, only have 65% of the votes in? Like, what are they doing? Like, it's just unbelievable. I don't know. You would think with computers and that would be going faster, but we've learned here that Each state does it differently, and some with these mail-in ballots, they literally have to verify the signature versus the signature on file by hand for every single mail-in ballot. So, especially because of, the whole election claims from the past election, um, some areas have made it even more stringent to verify some of these votes. So it actually is more time consuming now because of the whole claims of everything. So that is why some of these places take longer, days, even weeks now. So, um, whether you think that's a good or bad thing, they're literally double, triple checking some of the stuff. And then there can be recounts. Yeah. So, and actually, a typically very Democratic state, California, is what that one district is what gave the Republicans the House majority, or at least the one that tipped the scales, the final one that gave them the 218th one. They're probably going to be a few over 218 when all is said and done. But you can let me know your thoughts on this. Kevin McCarthy, the is set to be probably the leader of the Republicans in the House. They have already um, set him up for the first vote or the first test here as a speaker. Here's the details of it. You can see here hurdles remain. Republican leader Kevin McCarthy won the nomination Tuesday for House Speaker, clearing the first step with majority support from his colleagues. But he now faces a weeks long slog to quell right flank obligations before a final vote in the new year. He has led Republicans this far, and with the party now on the cusp of majority control, which they now have, he has the chance to seize the gavel from Nancy Pelosi, which they are now defeated. The vote with the Republican Party only to whether or not he should be leader just with them was 188 to 31. So 31 Republicans voted no against him. Here is what he had to say. Take a listen.
I'm proud to announce the era of one-party Democrat rule in Washington is over. Washington now has a check and balance. The American people have a say in their government. And this new Republican leadership team is ready to get to work to put America back on the right track. It was our commitment to America that we would create an economy that is strong, a nation that is safe, a future that is built on freedom, and a government that is accountable. And that's exactly what we'll do.
There is also some question on what current House Speaker for the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, will do when the Democrats officially lose control of the House of Representatives in January. Remember, they maintain control. Until the new Congress comes in, which is in January. And remember, everybody stays except for the people who got voted out. So only the people that got voted out get, officially lose their position. Here's what Nancy Pelosi had to say. Take a listen.
My decision will again be rooted in what the wishes of my family and the wishes of my caucus, but none of it will be very much considered until we see what the outcome of all of this is. But there are all kinds of ways to exert influence. The speaker has awesome power, but I will always have influence.
She also said in another portion of an interview that she does not intend to leave Congress just yet, but this could be potentially her last term. We'll see down the road. So remember that she's up there in age as well, along with Mitch McConnell. She is currently 82 years old. Mitch McConnell is age 80 years old. He got reelected to a 6-year term in the Senate 2 years ago. So he'll be 84 years old if he runs for reelection again in 4 years. If he runs for reelection again, he would serve until he's 90 years old. If he runs for re-election again. Both Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell seem to win by landslides every single time they win. You guys can let me know your thoughts on this. Mitch McConnell is also going to be voted to Republican leadership in the Senate, albeit minority leadership. He won the leadership role over Republican Senator Rick Scott. That's the guy who actually wants to make Social Security and Medicare not be mandatory, that they would be voted on every 5 years, similar to Ron Johnson. So the Republicans voted on this to whether or not to make Scott or McConnell the leader of the Republican Party in the Senate. And Mitch McConnell received 37 votes, while Scott received 10. One senator voted present. So Mitch McConnell will be leader of the Senate for the Republicans again. So he'll be the minority leader. Chuck Schumer will be the leader for the Democrats again. President Joe Biden's age currently is 79 years old. And former President Donald Trump is only 3 years younger at 76 years old. They would both be the oldest president ever if elected to this next term. Former President Donald Trump has announced that he is going to run again for the Republican Party, and he is currently the front runner by a long shot based on all the current polls and surveys out there. He is by a long shot the number one candidate for the Republican Party here yet again. Number two candidate right now is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, although he's pretty far behind former President Donald Trump in almost all the polls. Next up, we have some updates about the missile that hit Poland. There's a lot of controversy over this, a lot of controversy, and honestly, we might not never, or we may never know the truth about this one. It really depends on who you ask about this, and it's one of those things that maybe we shouldn't know the truth. Maybe it's just one of those things where if it just prevents World War III, it might be the best for now, at least. Here's what happened, or at least what they're telling us what happened. When the news broke on Tuesday that a missile had crossed into Poland and killed 2 people, fingers quickly pointed to Russia, which is the most likely scenario. However, initial assessments from Poland and NATO suggest it was actually a Ukrainian air defense missile that struck 4 miles from the border in the Polish village of Przywalado. Following a meeting of NATO ambassadors on Wednesday, the Alliance Secretary General said investigations pointed to an accident as Ukraine was trying to defend itself from a Russian aerial barrage, saying, quote, "This is not Ukraine's fault. Russia bears ultimate responsibility," they said. "The whole incident is caused by Russia's brutal war in Ukraine," which really makes sense because if Russia is shooting missiles from all the way across the country, because Russia's either shooting them from Russia, which is way across the country, or from the territory that Russia occupies, which is pretty much the same thing, because they only occupy a little bit of eastern Ukraine, which is way across the country. They're shooting missiles hundreds of miles away, right next to the border of Ukraine. I mean, you can let me know your thoughts here, whether you think it was a Russian missile that just missed and hit Poland, or if it was the Ukrainian air defense that was defending against Russian missiles and missed, or shrapnel and killed 2 people. The problem with all this is that the US and NATO has long held the position that if there's any attacks on NATO territory, it doesn't matter if it's an oops or if it's a mistake or anything like that. The treaty says, the NATO treaty says, if you attack us, you can't just say, "Oh, sorry, we did it by accident." You can't just attack a NATO country like the US or any of the 30 countries in NATO and then just say, "Oh, sorry, it was an accident," or "Oh, it wasn't us." But we know that Russia was literally shooting missiles all day long and for days. And here's the thing, if they were shooting missiles, which we know they were, and Ukraine is defending the missiles, I mean, just think about this. So Ukraine was defending the missiles. They're defending the missiles that Russia shot anyways. So why is Russia shooting missiles within a few miles of the Poland border? That'd be like shooting missiles within a few miles of the US border. That's basically the equivalent, because remember, the treaty says if you shoot any type of anything and it lands on the border of a NATO country, it's basically a declaration of war against all NATO countries, including the US. This is what the treaty says. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin struck a similar tone that says, "We're gathering information, but yeah, it does look like a air defense missile that unfortunately landed in Poland. Whether it was Russian missile or not, maybe they're just saying this because it was just an oops, and we really don't want to start World War III, which is honestly probably the best policy. But they're saying whatever the final conclusion may be, the world knows that Russia bears ultimate responsibility for this incident, because they do, because they're defending against Russian missiles." Multiple news outlets, including The Hill, reported Tuesday that Russia fired the missile that fell into Russia. I think that's supposed to say into Poland. I think that's a misprint there. Russia fired the missile that fell into Russia. That doesn't sound right. Ukraine also quickly blamed Russia with hitting NATO territory with missiles. This is a Russian missile attack on collective security. Action is needed. And of course, Russia denies firing any missiles near the border. But again, they're saying that we were defending, or that the Ukraine was defending the Russian missiles. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts here in the comments. What do you think? Yeah, this is just really, I mean, Russia's just shooting missiles and bombs all the time. And even Poland said that it was an air defense system that went awry. Well, if it's an air defense system, that means that they were defending against Russian missiles. Yeah, I mean, you can let me know your thoughts here. I think that a lot of people think, though, um, that in all reality, it was a Russian missile that hit. There's even sources that are saying that it's actually a Russian missile that landed there. I don't know. In all reality, though, it's really probably better that this is the story that they're telling the world, because do we really want to start World War III because of an accidental oops, one missile landed a few miles over the border? Is that really what we want to do? Probably not. Probably not. So, because again, if you attack a NATO territory, that means all of NATO, including the US and all 30 countries of NATO, they have to declare war against whoever attacked that country, including the US. So I don't think we really want that. So it's probably the best situation to say, oh yeah, it was an accident. It looks like an air defense missile accident. So we'll probably never know the truth. Maybe that is the truth. You let me know your thoughts here in the comments. So I'll keep you up to date here. Maybe we'll learn more. So make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. If you haven't yet, it's completely free to do so. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll keep you up to date here. Also, we're giving away cash here before Thanksgiving and in December here as well. Thousands of dollars to our viewers. If you can answer trivia questions, you could win money here directly from me. And we're doing that every single day. So make sure you catch our next couple videos here. Remember, new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click this video here to watch my newest video next. And here is my newest video on Social Security changes that you need to know about. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.